Hi green lovers, it's Tara and Danny the garden cat, and in today's video we are going to be talking to you about a very important topic that I see discussed in a lot of forums today on the summer garden, and that is pollination of your summer squashes, or reasons why people are having problems with pollination. So in this video, I'm going to talk very briefly about some of the basics and some of the tips on how you can hand pollinate your squashes. But mainly, I want to share with you a trick that I have learned that I think takes into account just the way nature operates, and then implement a copycat method in your own garden, which will really significantly increase your harvests of your summer squashes, your zucchinis in particular. Let me show you what a zucchini that has not been pollinated looks like. Here is an example right here. Let me actually pull it out for you. So you see how it looks like it was starting off becoming a nice zucchini, but then because it didn't get pollinated, the end starts to dry out, and eventually the whole zucchini will dry out and fall off. So I have very few examples of this because what I'm going to show you in this video is going to guarantee that all your zucchinis are successfully pollinated. And I couldn't help it, I had to show you my gorgeous Max's Gold zucchini. Look at that color. Isn't it just beautiful? No wonder it's called Max's Gold. Now this is a great zucchini because apparently, and again this is the first time I'm growing it, apparently it actually is one of those plants that lasts longer than most. It has a long season before it gets that dreaded powdery mildew that takes out a lot of zucchini plants. It is more productive than most zucchinis, and it also has a fruit that does not have that much of a seed cavity, so you get more fruit than most zucchinis would get you. Consider growing some Max's Gold zucchini. As you can see, it's a beautiful large plant. So in this little raised bed behind me, I have got two squash plants, summer squashes. I believe this one here is just a regular green zucchini variety. I'm not sure, I don't remember, lost my label. And then far down there is Cocozelle squash, I believe. And I want to show you this concept of male and female flowers, which all zucchini plants have. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what a male flower looks like and what a female flower looks like real quick. Now this here in front of me is a female flower. You can see the flower at the end, and you can see at the base of it, you actually have the startings of a zucchini or any kind of squash that you are growing. You will see the shape of it right at the base of the flower. Here's one that has been fertilized already and is growing. And I'm going to take you over down here and show you another plant where I have got male flowers. So this is the difference. The male flowers do not have that bulge that represents the fruit that is going to form at the base of it. It's just a stem. And if I look in here, there is my little arch enemy, the roly-poly. This one takes out so many plants in my garden. I love them and I hate them. They're great decomposers, but they do really put a dent in my seedling production and my seedling growth. Now you'll notice that most of the flowers on this plant are male flowers. In fact, I can't even see a single female flower. And that is very natural when a plant is first starting to produce flowers in the season, is it first produces a lot of male flowers. Part of the reason is that this is a sign for the pollinators to start coming in. So these flowers, big, beautiful yellow flowers, are very attractive to pollinators, and they know that, oh, here's some good stuff, got to bring my friends, right? There's a party going to happen here. Now, if I take you around to the other side here, this plant that I was just showing you actually has mostly female. And I am not sure why there aren't too many male, but there are some that are coming up here. So the squash plants behave a little bit differently, but for the most part, on an average, they will produce the male flowers about 10 days ahead of starting to see the female flowers, mainly to start bringing in those pollinators and also to have sufficient male flowers available so that when the female flower opens, there are male flowers ready to pollinate it. Now, one of the things that you do need to know about squash plants, and I've got several varieties here. This is a basic zucchini plant. This one here is a chayote squash, and this one here is a delicata squash. That one there is a snake gourd, also in the same family, but it's more a gourd, not a squash. And I'm not going to get into the differences in this video. This video is about pollination. And here I've got the cocoselle squash. Now this is a vining squash. You can see that it's producing these vines, and I like to actually trail my gourds and my vining squash up a kind of trellis. This one, kind of letting it do its thing because it does have sufficient space in this raised bed to kind of go around. Now, the important thing to know is that most of these squash plants, especially if they're in the same species, can easily cross-pollinate. So as an example here, I've got a beautiful female flower that has opened, and we've got some pollinators, these ants, trying to do their job of getting the pollen in there into the pistil. But of course you need the pollen, and the pollen comes from the male flower. And now, even though this is a different plant, it is in the same species. It's a different type of plant in the same species, and these two can easily cross-pollinate. I actually do not have any doubts that this flower is going to get pollinated just naturally by pollinators that are going to come and sit on this flower, then hop over to the neighbor and pollinate that flower. But I am going to do what I think you need to know and do in order to get a lot of zucchinis and squash is hand pollinate. And the way that you do that is with a Q-tip or a brush, paintbrush, a delicate paintbrush. Just take it in here and you take up a few pollen grains. See if I can get it in focus. And then you take it over to the female flower and you deposit it on the female flower. Now you can see the ants are active in there. They will move the pollen around and get it into all the right places. All you need to do is get the pollen in there. Now, the other way to do it, if you don't have a Q-tip or a paintbrush handy when you're out in your garden in the morning, which by the way is when these blossoms open, they will only bloom one day. And it's only for a few hours that these are open, and that is in the morning. So this activity does need to be performed in the morning. But what I usually do to save myself the trouble of remembering to bring out a Q-tip or a paintbrush, and since I have enough plants, is I just grab one of these blossoms. I pick them off, and then I remove the petals and I eat the petals. Now I can't do those one-handed. Let me turn off the camera, do that, and show you what the stamen looks like with the pollen on it. Okay, so here are my petals. I'm gonna eat them. That is so good. It's got a hint of sweetness. It's got a little bit of crunch. Tastes a little bit like cucumber, I think, but very, very good. So yeah, those flower petals do not go to waste. I want to show you what the stamen looks like. So this is the stamen, and you can see the little fluffy pollen on it. And what I do is I just take this around my garden, and wherever I see an open female flower, I just do this. I just rub it on the top, and that's it. You're done. That flower is pollinated. So this is my biggest tip to you, is grow several different varieties of summer squash if you can, because they will flower at different times, and you can almost always be guaranteed that you're going to have some male flowers open when the females are ready, and you do not have to have that dependency on a single plant having the flowers, male and female flowers, growing at the same time. So hopefully you will try this method, green lovers, of pollinating your zucchini, your summer squash, and I wish you a bountiful harvest. And until next time, live green and love your greens, and do hit that like button because it really helps get this video around to a broader audience.